Me man Penia Wodikano, your friend on the Frankloma. Here, mini sign up when my dear number your mama. I send my coupe bin, I'm in Tia, I am in Wangwa. Here, on no Naji Fanhudia, Yanaraya Sassini, I have what they did my Mojana, and we are going to how my head room in able to say, baby, at once. Can I be a baby? I'm in say Ray Obiana and then Yana and the young Physican Tons of Fangu from Nemo Frayina, come Nayan to Jomon Campo, Yamusa, Yakina, Nano, Dabia, so did be video some you need the Ghana City, Obia baby, and now to any greedy, Abrajan Kabiti, baby, and our coach, Korea, and Kobini, Media, when I was so young. Rene, Sima Baku, and the Piazza and Kutia, and so woke up Parliament, Akonako, and Andosa, to become a power, and Pajankan Koya Bawana, and Masa Bibia, woman, Pango Shab, some tower, and Yasana Kotipa, one on the car, a bank tower.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jamaican American and you're watching Diaspora Network Television. Today we're going to fuse traditions and cultures. And for that, I have two of my friends that are going to bring different perspectives towards this central idea of bringing people together. But as usual, before we go to the main meat of a discussion, you have to go with me to the jungle. So stay tuned for the jangle. In today's jangle, I want to show you a video that went viral on Mother's Day. Take a look. This is a TikTok video that someone posted on Mother's Day, presumably to state and establish the roles that our mothers play in our lives. But the unintended consequence is that people have gone to town with the man following the woman. Questions arise. One, even if it's a tradition within that locality that the woman's role is what she's playing, the optics of her carrying one baby in the back, pregnant, which means her strength is not at 100%, also holding one child in the hand, carrying firewood, and on top of the firewood, plantain. Now, this man, I'm sure, also did his work in the farm. Probably when he was weeding and sweating, the woman was also chilling under a tree. We get that. But when you see that someone, presumably, that you call your wife, that you're supposed to love, toiling down this road. If you look at the woman walking, you can tell the pregnancy is at a later stage. She's tired and everything. At what point do you say, you know what, yes, I get it, it's tradition, but let me help my wife? But I'm sure that there are those who are going to look at it from a different perspective. But for me, today's jungle, when I see something like that, I'm born and raised in Ghana, spent the better part of my life in the United States. But when I see this tradition, my ruling or my verdict, I'm going to appoint myself a judge here. My verdict is guilty. Bam. The man is guilty. This is the jungle. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What's cool, fresh and trendy with a new look? Makes you feel real good, that refreshing vibe. Satisfies you right just the way you like. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Ain't gotta do it alone. Specialized makes you flow. Anytime, anywhere. Specialized feel different. Always think specialized. Special ice, natural mineral water. Feel different. Think special. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Hello and welcome back. This is Judge Jermaine Nkrumah. I just made my ruling, and I have two very beautiful people in my studio right now. One of them almost chopped off my head because he called me a biased judge. And the other one is kind of sitting on the fence. So let me first introduce them, and then I'll let them get first. Meet my friend Sherry Thompson, who is now the African American Association of Ghana AAAG president, but here in her own capacity, personal capacity. And then, of course, I have my chief, Nana Berima Kojo Tachibiem. Abiam. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think they say ladies first.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with ladies first. When you see a video like that, what do you think?
Of course, my first thing was to see that she was pregnant. Then, you know, they panned it so that the pan is on the head with the firewood and the plantain. I saw the baby in the back, but really what got to me was the child that was walking could be walking with the dad, you know? So I'm like, there needs to be a balance. I think balance is very important in life, and I think this is an imbalance.
So from an African American perspective, right, you think at least if he had taken the child, that would have sufficed as
the one that
was walking, right?
It would have been okay.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because we can't come here as African Americans and expect folks to be doing what we think they should be doing.
And I think, quite frankly, I think it's fair because who knows, within that locality, if they see a man carrying something on the head, they're probably going to shoot him.
Yeah.
So at least you can get away with walking with your own daughter holding the hand and everything.
Son or daughter.
Okay.
You know, give some little help, assistance to the situation.
Right.
In fact, what's interesting is when I first came to Ghana, when I saw women with, you know, pans on their head, I'm like, this is Jamaica.
Oh, yeah.
My parents were from Jamaica. And so when I was younger, I was in Jamaica for summers. People are carrying things on their head. You know,
Did you carry things?
Oh, you have to learn to carry something on your head.
Did you hold it or you left it?
No, my dear, you have to balance yourself.
So
I learned to balance my, honey, I was booked so it's on my head. You know, things were on my head. What we didn't learn, or what I saw when I got here, was that they have a base, a foundation. No, we didn't have no foundation. We just went ahead and the head was there. You don't move. And then you balance it. And you balance whatever you're balancing. Yeah. It was like a game.
But we had the cashier, but you guys had locks, so that serves the same purpose. So
well, I have an afro.
Did you have locks?
I don't need anything.
You didn't have locks?
I don't have locks.
Okay.
No. My son has locks.
Okay, very good. Nana, you're dying to kill me about this video.
Not really. But then, you know, this video, I understand, I really agree with you that you said it's not a good video to watch or to see. But then how do we get educated in the first place? In your intro, you did mention that this is a TikTok video. So whether it is the real thing or it is something that has been staged. In any case, it is just telling you, this is a human being, a woman. A woman. You know, married to a man. And so the first thing is, that is their way of life. And is it acceptable? In any case, in real life these days with civilization, the woman in that stage shouldn't even carry a child at the back.
At all.
The woman at that stage shouldn't carry a load on the head. The woman at that stage shouldn't even go a long distance, you know, let alone go into the farm. Now the picture is telling you that they are coming from the farm. They've gone to work and now they are going back home. And so the firewood on top is the plantain. And then the notion that the motive behind the video is that this is a typical woman who has been married to a man. And then their way of life is that as a woman, I understand my situation. I have to carry the firewood. I have to send food home. I have to be pregnant for my husband. I have to carry the child that cannot walk. And she doesn't seem to have any problem. Now, do we hear that most women go into labor and then they give birth, but they don't come back?
Yeah.
You see the point?
Yeah.
So I'm talking from the medical point of view, that if I see that woman, maybe she's strong. That's why otherwise there are so many bad things that can happen to her. So this video, whether it's TikTok or it is real, there's a strong message.
Am I hearing you saying that this is practice towards her labor?
No, I didn't say practice.
Okay.
I'm just saying that.
And in other words, this serves as practice.
This is a woman
No.
who doesn't have anything to do, then she doesn't have anything, nobody to help.
Okay.
So she's compelled to go to the farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see the point? And I'm saying that fortunately, it seems and it appears she is strong
Right.
to walk to the farm, and then in a way, it serves as an exercise.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
No, okay. So,
But then it is very dangerous because when you did mention that looking at her tummy, it appears she is closely in her labor.
yeah.
Anything can happen on the road.
Yeah.
You see
And
the point?
yeah.
But this is a man who also doesn't know anything about what we are talking about here.
Yeah.
So if we are talking about civilization, then it's like where they are, it appears they don't even have a radio to listen to for somebody to advise, to educate,
Right.
let alone television.
Right.
Nobody goes there in that area to talk to them that this is what you should be, the do's and don'ts of a woman. And so traditionally that you mentioned, if this is a tradition, that if you're a woman and you are married to a man, everything about the household should be on top of you, whether you like it or not. So it becomes like slavery in a marriage.
Yeah.
Do you get my point?
so then-
Out of ignorance.
Yeah. Now you're a chief,
Yeah.
so I know you probably don't go to the farm to go weed. But before you became a chief, if you find yourself in this situation as the man following your wife in that stage, what would you do?
No, I won't find in the first place, I won't find myself in this situation because
Why?
I'm already civilized. I'm educated.
Okay.
And therefore, I won't find myself in that situation. And as I speak with you, even my wife uses car.
Okay.
My wife.
Okay.
I bought a car for my wife
Okay.
to use.
So you will not find...
You go to my wife's room, she also have equal 55-inch television.
Okay.
Anything I have in my room, she also has. So this, I'm talking about civilization, so I'll never go there. But then don't forget that here in Ghana for now, there are certain powers that have been, you know, one way or the other taken from chiefs. And then the powers have been given to certain quarters, organizations, to also go to the rural areas everywhere to link to the people and then send civilization there. So whose duty it is that maybe has not been able to get there? That whoever is responsible is ready, but getting to that place is also another situation.
Final question on this.
Yeah.
You're a chief. In your, let's say in your locality, that one was the norm, and you had it in your power to make changes to the culture. Would you abolish this kind of behavior?
Oh, but this is not an offense. In the first place, it is not an offense.
I know it's not, but
Therefore,
I'm saying if it was
it
tradition.
borders on education.
Right.
You see, it borders on education.
Okay.
For you as a woman, you've accepted to be a woman, you have accepted to be in marriage and that kind of marriage.
Okay.
And therefore, I do it most of the time, particularly when I'm driving on the road. And I come across people like that.
Okay.
I stop, pick them, and I talk to them medically.
Yeah.
That, well, that's my field. And I talk to them that do this and that, and they don't know.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
except that education should continue.
Right.
This video should go a long way so that people will take it up themselves
Yes.
to use it as
Yeah.
a steady case or
Education, yeah.
yes, to go to the rural, because you don't see this in a city.
In the city.
You don't find this.
Yeah, you won't.
You
Okay.
see?
So then let me switch to the city. You are a Jamaican American. And
Jamaican.
Jama-
I actually coined that phrase.
all right, Jamaican.
That's right.
Good. So you're a Jamaican, now married to a Ghanaian and moved over here.
I married a Ghanaian, moved over here, now separated
Now
from the
separated.
Ghanaian.
Okay. When you came here, what are some of the traditions that are quote unquote reserved for a woman's place in the family that shocked you the most?
Well, actually, to be very honest with you, nothing really shocked me.
Okay.
Here's something that I found disconcerting. This was an incident that happened while I was living in Mempasa. Mempasa.
Memphis.
Impassive.
We're
I
trying.
don't want any trouble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next door to us, a woman had been accosted by a man, I guess a stranger walking into her house, and she was being sexually assaulted. Nothing happened because she screamed, everybody ran to the place, the guy, took to his heels. But in the neighborhood, people started laughing. And that was,
Laughing?
you hold on.
Out of ignorance.
Laughing at what?
Jermaine. Their view was he was trying to make love to her. My view was that she was being sexually assaulted. There are two different views here. Recently, I got to know of another situation where it was sexual assault. And with all of these things, because I've been here for a very long time, I was part of the CASA, which is the Coalition Against Sexual Abuse, and we were dealing with even the young children in school being abused by teachers. Instead of this criminal behavior being rectified by the process, judge, jury, executioner, no, don't kill. It goes to the house. It's a domestic problem. Let's solve it quietly in the house. This is a problem.
Okay.
Okay? Tradition does that here. They don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
but the victim
Yeah.
is the one that will wear that scar
Right.
for the rest of his or her life, because actually I've seen
Did
where
this-
young boys
Yeah. Did
are
this
being
particular
raped.
thing jump out at you because you were a member of CASA and
No, this was a long, long time ago. I mean, when I say long, I had just gotten here.
Okay.
I was actually pregnant with my son. He's
Okay.
25 years old.
Oh, okay.
So this happened
you've
a
been
while
here for a
back.
while.
I've been here 26 years.
Okay.
But that was the first thing that made me to know that my perspective was totally different from everybody else's perspective.
Okay.
And I had to really look at what they were looking at and how they were thinking different from what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
We haven't changed that much. We're still asking women who have been sexually assaulted, well, what did you do?
Yeah, too. Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, look, you can say that sexual assault goes on everywhere in the world. Okay.
And there's
But I'm talking about specific cultural woman's place in the society
Yeah.
that you found here that took a while before you got used to?
Remember, I came to Accra. And Accra is not, you know,
A village.
the village.
Okay.
Although at the time Mpassam might have looked like a village, but within that village was being surrounded by the rest of East Legon. And so they quickly adapted to what East Legon was becoming. If you go down to that area now, when I was there, we had dirt streets. We don't got no dirt streets down there anymore. So I came at a time when in the city, things were being moved towards modernization.
Okay.
Things were being moved towards people communicating and understanding civilization. So I did not meet women in roles where they were enslaved. I met women that were in society, really, and they did what they had to do for their family like any other person would. We tend to think that women in America and women in Ghana are different people. There was another video, actually, that had this discussion about women, American women, and what we do for the household, and what Ghanaian women, Ghanaian women are raised to be wives. Really? I've met a lot of Ghanaian women that were raised to be purposeful in what God dictates them to be purposeful in. Okay, so I took issue with that.
Okay.
I take issue with African Americans. We're not raised to be wives. We're raised to be multifaceted. So we did take home economics. We do know how to cook. We do know how to clean. We do know how to organize. We do know because we had to do it. Okay. We don't have house help in America. Hi. I got here and somebody was giving me house help. Oh, I've arrived.
Yeah.
Because we do everything for ourselves.
Yeah.
I scrub my toilets myself. I scrubbed the floor myself. I was 10 years old when I took apart the vacuum cleaner. My dad looked at it and he said, "Are you going to be able to put it back together?" But I was cleaning and maintaining the vacuum cleaner because it had to be clean and maintained.
Yeah. So when you hear Sherry talk about Ghanaian women are raised to be wives instead of being raised to achieve their God-full purpose, what's your take on that from a traditional perspective?
Yes. Let me say this, that traditionally, people, the indigents, have their own way of life. Whether it is acceptable these days or it is not, that is how they see it. That's how they see it. You go to a typical traditional home and you see a woman not wearing any panties under, but having just a cloth across the breast on top, walking, and sometimes trying to cover herself not to get herself exposed. It still persists in Accra. Why? Because that is their way of life. You can't take this to be a tradition. It is their way of life. Do you get my point? But when you go, you get to culture. Very good. It cannot be a tradition, but it can be a culture that, as an ordinary woman, feel free to walk in your own home without wearing panties, without going to take your bath, and among other things. Because in a civilized home, what I know and has been brought up is that immediately you get up from your bed, prepare your bed, go and brush your teeth, visit the loo, take your bath, clean yourself, and then you come back and sweep and clean. This is how I've been brought.
Yeah.
You see the point? So the typical way, they don't see anything with it. Even if you try to cause them that don't, and I keep doing it.
Okay. So
Recently, I was in Takrady. On the main secondary road, I saw a very beautiful woman. The hair so basa, having that cloth across and then cross the road to pour water away on the street. Very beautiful woman. You see the point? But she lives in typical place in
That's a
Takrady.
comfort zone.
Now, if you go to East Legon or West Legon that you are
won't
talking
see
about, Mimpasem that you are
We won't-
talking
we won't
about,
see it.
we have the indigents who come from that East Legon. East Legon is just a demarcation
yeah.
from the assembly, from the government.
Yeah.
You see the point? East Legon is not a town.
Okay.
It is a demarcation. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to bring it down to how I understand it as a chief.
Okay.
That people have their way of life and their way of doing things, which they don't see anything wrong in.
Fine.
Now, what we are trying to do is that, has it affected them negatively or has it affected them
Has it?
positively?
Has it?
That's the question
Okay.
I'm asking.
Let me see how it accepts
And
because
so,
when she was speaking, right, she said the sexual assault attempt, and people always ask, well, what did you do? I know in America, women wear pants and everything. Over here, right, we don't live, typically, we don't live in exclusive homes as we do. We live in compound homes. So you could have one family on this side, another family on this side. So in the final minute before we go on break, if you have multiple families living in the same compound house, and you, a woman, you get up and you don't cover yourself where you put just the clothes here, accidents happen. Before the clothes can come undone, and you review certain things that some man is saying, that looks so good. And that could cause some of the things that you said.
Yeah.
How about that?
you see, that is why we are here trying to talk and then
Yeah.
educate.
Okay.
When you go to these areas that we are talking about and you see this thing happen, it's just borders on ignorance because they don't know.
Okay.
They don't know. They don't have any education about the do's and don'ts, the do's and don'ts
Okay.
on positive real life.
All right.
Do you get my point?
I-
Even the way we talk,
Yeah.
the way you express yourself, the way you sit. You go to a typical traditional home,
Yeah.
and then you find a woman the way she's even sitting,
Yeah.
with the legs, excuse my word,
Yeah.
open.
Oh, yeah.
You see the point? But in a civil
but
world,
it's not
you will not find
You
a
can't do
woman
that.
sitting with the
Not
legs
well covered.
open.
Before you touch on that, let me.
Yeah, I
I'll
know you
come
want to
you.
go to break, but
Just 1 minute.
It's not just open. She's got the covering there. The everything is. It's not just open. Okay,
Yeah.
she's not doing.
But
Maybe
it's in a
if I have
position where
landed-
accident happens.
No, if I have landed, you get to realize,
Okay,
you
you want to
realize
land.
that, yes,
Okay, land.
that I'm just talking about the reality on the ground.
Okay,
We see it every now and then.
that's fine.
We see it, it is there.
We will come back
You
to
go
this.
there, even ladies, let me use this word, ladies, who are civilized, attended school and all that, they still, most of them don't know how to
Yeah.
sit. Is
All
that
right.
the reality?
All
It
right.
is.
We're going to get into our continuing conversation with our guests. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even in Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, Europe, any part of the world, see, Tap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap, and send. Download Tap Send now on Google Play and App Store. Tap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
Very good. Welcome back to our continuing conversation with my two beautiful guests, Chief African American, fusing traditions and all.
And
I think you're more African than you are African American.
And she's looking
I was expecting a typical New Yorker saying, this is this, this is this.
No,
But you've been
I've been here 26
Yeah,
years.
that's my
So
point.
she has changed.
You've been here too long.
I've had, is that right? I've had to simmer small.
There you
know,
go. There you
I'm
go.
simmering.
Yeah.
To get to the point of you're in a compound house, but it's your house, even though it's a compound house.
With different families.
And
Okay.
Jermaine, me, I understand this so.
Okay, good.
Mostly, compound is not the
understand.
rented place.
It's-
It is the pure
It's your
indigenous compound house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. A woman feels that she can do what she does wants to do in her house. It doesn't register that these other people are going to disrupt her privacy. There's an etiquette about privacy. That's why we are really upset when we have a peeping Tom. Because you've come to view into my private area. That is also a cultural matter.
No,
You
what I'm
cannot-
alluding to, Sherry, is this. Where you have a compound house where the tenants are not necessarily blood related.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I got
And
you.
then you, because you feel you're at home, instead of covering yourself well, you're going to dress like the chief said, oh, just the clothes over here, not wearing anything. And
but-
if something happens and the clothes drops, as somebody who is not blood related to you is going to see what he's not supposed to see.
Yeah.
And that may start something in the head that leads to those types of things.
And my thing is, yes, okay, he should have a better mindset that this is not
better controls.
better control.
Yes.
This is not his wife.
Oh,
This
of
is
course,
not
of course.
this
Of
is
course.
a person that's
Of
living
course.
in her private place.
Yeah.
This is a compound situation.
Yeah.
She wants to
Yeah.
feel comfortable.
But-
She drops the thing, you have what you call a wardrobe accident, and all of a sudden,
Wardrobe
no.
Wardrobe malfunction. But-
you can't say men are. I mean, some men are like that, but most men,
Well,
I believe,
you have to have controls
You can
because
control themselves.
Look, there is a thief that plots to go and break a door and
Exactly,
steal
it's a
something.
plot,
It's a
isn't it?
thief just as much as the person who really didn't want to steal but sees
Opportunity.
sees somebody's money drop. He said, And then both of them are thieves.
Yeah.
But one was presented with an opportunity
yeah.
where the other one actually worked towards the
yeah,
thievery.
yeah.
Good. Now we're going to move to Africans and our lifestyle abroad.
Okay.
Chief, Nana, you've lived in the UK. A traditional chief, I think you weren't a chief when you went to the UK.
No.
Okay. But you went there and you came back to be the chief. While you were in the UK, did you have to do certain things now that you look back and say, that was too African?
Yes. You see, for me, I'm not surprised that I'm a chief. Because, one, I knew right from the scratch that I am a royal.
Okay.
And I was told, and I was prepared as such.
Okay.
Getting to the UK is far back in the 80s. Far back in the 80s, where certain things that we have these days, we didn't have. And I went there just to learn. And then I was brought up to behave, not to be misbehave. You see the point? I'm glad to mention that in my time in those 70s attending school, we had the chance to read a small book titled Courtesy for Boys and Girls. So I was brought up on how to even sit, how to talk, gestures at the dining table, how to eat, with everything, I was brought up not to talk, opening my mouth so wide, get my point. So it's like so many manners and etiquettes were inculcated in me. So my living in the UK, and don't forget that we are the Ukrainians that went out to UK. Do you get my point?
Hold
Because
on, hold
it is
on.
the British.
Time out. Ukrainians. I've heard that word before.
No, because
He is coining a new phrase.
do you get my because
do that.
it is the UK, the British, that came to the country, colonized us, and then inculcated everything that they were
Right.
doing,
But I like that word,
and then
Ukrainians.
brought it to us. And we also, that's why I'm speaking English. Otherwise, English is not my language.
Right.
Is that not it? So we adapted English to be our national dialogue. And that's why I'm speaking English. Otherwise, as a chief, the dialogue I know is Asante.
Right. When you were in UK, did you ever help your wife in the kitchen washing dishes?
No, because I was that young. I was that young in the UK in the 80s. I hadn't gotten married. I don't even know
But
anything
you
about
married
wife.
while you were there.
No, I
you
came
weren't
back to marry
Okay.
here in Ghana.
Would you have if you were married?
You see, even now, as tradition demands, as a chief, I'm not allowed to go to the kitchen because I have my stool wife, my wives, and
Right.
other servants who will serve me. So I would, if I speak as a chief, then traditionally, customarily, I will not be allowed in the kitchen.
Fine.
Do you
That's
get my
now,
point?
But I'm saying
But
when
then
you were
in the ordinary setting, if I were to be in the UK, not a chief,
And
what is
married.
wrong serving your wife or helping your wife in the kitchen?
Okay.
You see the point? But here in Ghana, they will interpret it as kotobonku. That is a man who is not civilized. How should you go to the kitchen with your wife? A man does not go to the kitchen. You did mention something in your intro, which I want to draw your attention today, that in Ghana, it appears we prepare women for the kitchen.
To be wives.
To
That's
be
what she
wives.
said.
Yeah.
To be wives. Is it the case now? No. But even before those days, we prepare you for marriage. Not necessarily preparing you for marriage, because women have continuously attended school, gone to school. But the notion behind is that after completing school, you continue life to become a wife to your husband. Is that not the case?
Yeah.
So they try to prepare you on how to take care of the home and then how to handle everything. You know? So this way, this time around, we have improved it to say that it borders on what we call home management.
Yeah.
And then home science.
Okay.
You see the point?
Yeah.
So now, if you're a woman, you should know how to manage the home. You see, a house is different from a home.
That's good.
And so we should get the distinction.
Okay.
That if you're a woman, you should know how to handle your house
home.
or your home and then manage everything.
Okay.
You see the point?
Let me switch to you, Sherry. In America, where you're originally from? Well, originally Jamaican. Oh, we say Jamaican.
My parents are Jamaican. I was born in New York.
Okay, fine.
So you know
So
that.
why do I have two people in my studio coming up with two new? You came up with what? Jamaican.
Yeah.
And you say
it's a
you're
good one.
Ukrainian,
I
yes.
like that one. But it's a little close to Ukrainian.
That's what I was going to
So
say.
I'm
Just
sitting
don't
here
put the
going,
R in there. Just don't put.
Is that the United Kingdom, is that not it?
I know.
Fine.
Ukrainian.
So-
We get it. All right. In America, you are from New York.
Yes.
Nana here has how many wives?
4.
4. In New York,
4 beautiful wives.
do you see 4 women married to one man living in the same house?
It's not done. It's called polygamy. It's against the law.
Okay. I knew you were going to go there.
so-
Utah, they do it in the same United States.
And
How
that's
can
a
you
different-
tell?
that-
Okay, let me come out with my own
It
word.
is the United States of America. Each state has
Okay.
its own laws,
Good.
its own
So that's not a federal
culture,
law then.
Yes.
its own
Rules.
traditions, its own rules
I
and
know, but
regulations.
so are you saying
If
polygamy is not
cross,
federal law?
It's not federal.
It's not federal.
Because
Okay.
it's a state
It's a state,
situation. Each state determines for itself what they want to have as their laws, their rules and
Okay.
regulations for that particular state. In Utah, because the Mormons or the Church of Latter-day Saints originated there and they had different, this is a different culture.
Right.
They were allowed to have sister wives,
Okay.
and no problem with
That's
that
fine.
there.
That's fine.
And they were able to manage that.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas New York,
York.
oh no, don't say you have. You say you have a girlfriend and you're coming up here. And in Jamaica,
Is that
If you-
allowed in Jamaica, polygamy?
no. Here's, you have a little bit of a situation because this man is now stepping out on you because men feel that they can do that. They can have a girlfriend on the side. We don't call it a side chick. We call it a girlfriend. But if you come home and there's something that you're going to eat, something wrong, she has cooked and prepared food for you and you're now coming home to act like you're going to, eat my food, I stop cooking.
Okay.
And the reason I stop cooking is because if something happens to you, hands off.
That's all. Okay.
I don't.
Is
It
that a
wasn't
convenient
me.
excuse?
Wasn't me. It's like I play
Is
shaggy.
that a
It
convenient
wasn't me.
excuse?
It wasn't me.
That sounds like a
Okay.
convenient excuse.
I don't think it's a convenient excuse. It's
Okay.
called CYA. Cover your, yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So
You know.
I'll go to the now on this in just
Yeah.
a minute. But when you came, I know we're overseas
Mm-hmm.
now. But when you met your Ghanaian husband, and you moved over here with them, when he
He
came
didn't
down,
move over here.
Oh, he didn't?
He stayed in Chicago. I moved with the kids because I wanted my kids to have this culture, this tradition. I wanted them to know and see black people in
Oh, I
power.
didn't know that. So your husband didn't come with you?
Honey,
You
de
came on it.
facto, 3 kids, I'm here with them.
Okay.
He's in Chicago working.
Okay.
Okay?
Would-
So, working.
Would you have been able to handle a second wife?
Me?
No.
I can handle anything. He can't handle a second wife.
Okay.
Do you understand what I just said?
Right.
He can't handle me.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we separated because, we've had a different mindset, different purpose.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Nana,
Yeah.
sometimes when we're overseas,
Yeah.
right? I always say that there are 2 different Africans who live overseas. The one who, the moment they get on the plane and land over there, they say, everything African is bad, everything America or everything UK is good, so
Yeah.
now I'm going to switch all in over here.
Yeah.
That's one group of African. And actually 3 groups. The second group is that even though they live in London, Chicago, everything they do is like Africa. Africa is it. I'm just here to get my work and get my money and go back home because everything in America is trash, everything is UK is trash, everything Africa is the bomb. And then there's a third African who I believe successfully combined the good attributes of both societies to live their life there. What advice would you give to the typical African who travels abroad?
First of all, who is a typical African?
Well, any African who
Because
travels abroad.
we have whites who are within Africa.
in
and
South
I'm talking
Africa.
about-
in South Africa.
Yeah.
We are talking about Egypt. We are talking about those apps over there. They are whites. But within the enclave of Africa map, they are Africans. So whom can you classify as a typical African?
Okay, fair.
Do you get where I'm
Fair,
coming
yes.
from? Right. And so, in the same vein, when you go to the United States, as she cleverly put it, that it is a United States, different states that have come together under one umbrella and then moving on together. And so, if you are a Jamaican and you naturalize to be an American, you still remain a Jamaican African.
All right, yeah.
You see the point. Now, let me come back to answer your question that if you are using the word typical, then it's like we have to be able to distinguish and clarify, well, that even if you have the white race or you have the black race, you will still remain an African. Now, in Africa, we have how many indigents? How many?
More than I
You
can
can't count.
Yeah.
And every one of the tribe, I'm talking about tribes, are different and they are respected and they are recognized. In Ghana, we have how many typical African Ghanaian? How many tribes? I am an Ashanti sitting here. My half of me is a Fanti. So where do I qualify to be a typical African? So I am African.
Good.
And doesn't go anything more than that. And so we are talking about, if you want to talk about me having two ways, that is being a Ashanti and a Fanti. Do you know that I have another one coming from the Brunafo? Because my great-grandmother, who gave birth to my mother, married to the
it looks like we need to go and look into this tool that you're sitting on in
see, so region. My great-grandmother, who is called Jabo, comes from, married the Omahin of Techiman and Kofi Chereme. I know my history and the family tree. So I'm just telling you about the word typical so that we can elucidate it further.
Okay.
This is a platform that we can use it to educate people. So now if you go to the Bono, they have the way they do their things, they live their life. You cross and share border with the Bruns and the Ashantis. You come to Ashanti region, where I come from, as the traditional ruler, chief of my hometown, of Finswampabame. It's Ashanti, typical Ashanti. How do they live their life? When I cross Ashanti, my next place is my father's home, Central region. They are typical Fantis. They have their own way of doing their things. They still remain Africans. So the word typical African, if you want to find a way of putting it in a perspective, then we'll have issue.
Okay. Well, the emphasis wasn't meant to be on the physical, but I wanted to allude to the fact that the three different types of African who live abroad. How would you, because you've also lived in UK before, how would you advise those who travel overseas? What, the lifestyle, which one is more conducive to prosperity? But
now,
we'll come to that. Let me give them what they want. We're going a quick break, we'll come back and then we'll get into that.
I like that.
Top and stand. It's okay. Bro, let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even in Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, Europe, any part of the world, see, Tap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap, and send. Download Tap Send now on Google Play and App Store. Tap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
Hello and welcome back. This is Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jamaican American, and I'm joined by Sherry Thompson and Nana Berma Kojo Techi Abiem, Chief of Ampabame Offenso. I think before we went, we were addressing the three types of Africans who live overseas. The one who thinks everything Africa is good, everything over there is bad. I'm just here to make my money and go back. That's one. And then two, the second African is everything Africa is bad. I'm here, I'm just going to be American, I'm just going to be UK, I'm going to be whatever. And then there's a third one who combined the good attributes of both. Which would you rather have?
Yes, you see, there's something I always say, that there's nothing good on this earth and there's nothing bad on this earth. You see?
There's nothing good on this earth.
Nothing is good on this earth, and nothing is bad on this earth.
Really?
You see the point?
I'm dying to hear your.
You see, therefore, it depends on you, the individual. If we all agree in principle that there is someone who created the universe, then the question is, how did I come to land in Africa? How did somebody also go to land in the UK, the Europe, whatever you can mention? How did it come? Who did the distribution?
Okay.
Who were the creators, the manufacturers of human beings? That I sit here whether I am black or dark or brown or whatever
We're told
it is.
it's God.
But we have two colors that has been agreed on, white and black. Is that not the case?
Oh, there are many more colors.
There are many
No.
more.
If
There's
we are
yellow.
talking about the race, all that we say is that we have the black race and then the white race. Is that not it?
Well,
But when
there's
you go
Indian
into
and
it, you realize
Oriental.
that we don't even have a black person and we don't have a white person. But that has been the usual usage of words to
So which of
clarify
the three-
people. Now, coming back to us an African, for me, I believe very well that it is very paramount for you to respect your trace and who brought you on this earth. You see, don't demean yourself. Inferiority complex is what is killing most of we Africans. We don't speak good about ourselves. We are not proud to be who you are. You
It
get
seems
my
like
point?
you're arguing for on behalf of the first African.
So, you
what I'm
see,
getting?
that is why on the first episode, the last episode, I did mention that I won't sit here as a chief and blame anybody who migrated here and then took whatever he thought because he sat down and talked twice, and then on several times that now I want to do this. This is my vision. I'll go through the streams because even the ocean was there.
Okay.
How did that person sit down to come with a mission that I am going to this place and when I go, this and that is what I'm going to do? Did we also plan to also do same?
That's my point exactly.
Very good.
We didn't
Therefore,
we didn't do
in this
that
case,
strategy.
we have our own way of thinking.
Yeah.
We have our own way as Africans of doing things.
Okay.
You see the point? Even in one group children, whether you have two or more, trust me, all of them cannot behave the same way.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, medically. Because if you are, let's say, 18 years, 16 years as a woman, and then you get pregnant, your genes at that time will determine the kind of a child you produce. At the age of 20, at the age of 23, age of 25,
Those are all
up to 40, you see the point?
Yeah.
They all have the way medically you will produce that particular of child, the child.
Yeah.
Have we come
Agreed.
to think of that? Now, in the same vein, the environment where we live, climate can also determine the way we do things and the way we see
Absolutely.
ourselves.
Our final topic, and we have about maybe 8 minutes to navigate through this. You grew up in a purely democratic, or shall I say mostly democratic system of governance.
Yes.
And you've come here for 25, 26 years where there's a fusion of democratic and traditional system of governance.
Yes.
What's your take on how is it working? How do you find our system versus the one that you grew up in?
Well, what has happened in the 26 years is that the national government takes precedence over the traditional chieftaincy form of government. And I think it's because there's certain things that have gone wrong within the chieftaincy governance. Not all the chiefs are integrous. So once you have a situation where some of the chiefs are not honest and integrous, you have a problem, because chieftaincy is supposed to be held at a high standard, but then some of these folks are not holding that standard.
Yeah.
It's for the chiefs themselves to weed out those that are there that will make them look bad, or to bring down the chieftaincy format.
Okay.
So for me, I believe that Ghana needs to hold on to both. I don't really feel that we should get rid of the baby with the bathwater. You have to have chieftaincy. You have to have what that stands for. That's where community came from. You know, within the chieftaincy realm, we don't have that individual situation that democracy has.
Okay.
We have communal action. If the chief calls for cleanup of the town, everybody's out there cleaning up that town. That's really valuable.
That's powerful.
That's powerful. For some reason, that power has dissipated.
And it's prone to abuse also.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nana, this falls right back to you. And I know in my private conversations with you, we've talked about good chief, bad chief. And just like good cop, bad cop. In Ghana today, if I'm on Offenba, just as you are.
Yeah.
And if I commit an infraction, let's say I do something and the law is on my neck, I come and talk to you, oh Nana, please go and plead on my behalf, right? Many times, I don't know if some of these chiefs do that, but sometimes you know the person is clearly wrong, but you will still find a chief who will don his clothes and go, oh, wait there, my ward, so let him go. How is that working? Would you do that, and what do you have to say to those who do that?
I won't even wait for you to land. You know, you did mention that a bad chief and a good chief. We don't have a bad chief. We don't have a good chief. But we have chiefs who are completely illiterates.
Nana, I have to get in here. If you have a chief who is still selling land for illegal miners.
I was going to let you understand why.
He wants you to let him land.
You see, like literal we say, "Oh, akola bone." I hate to hear those things. Akola bone on what?
So you don't believe there's good and bad?
What is akola bone?
Yeah.
The child is that troublesome. But on akola bone, do you get what I'm trying to tell you?
Okay.
There are certain
a troublesome
words.
kid is not bad kid.
There are certain words that comes out of our mouth, and they seem to wrongly classify a person. You see, if a chief sells land to one or two people, does it make him a bad chief? It is an offense.
It's an offense.
It's an offense, but he's not a bad person.
But if he does it repeatedly,
you see, something that is bad is bad. Me, I'm going to, according to the word that we are using. Dictionary will tell you that something that is bad and nothing else. So in my case, I have been able to prosecute a chief.
Nana, if I understand you correctly,
so good. Yes.
If I understand you correctly, you are saying that good people can do bad things. That doesn't make them bad. And by the same token, bad people can do good things. That doesn't necessarily make them. But you have people who consistently do things that are evil. Bad. Doesn't that make them bad people?
Their intent, their intent is to do harm.
Yeah.
And if your intent is to do harm,
some become
chiefs.
You see, some become chiefs in the name of coming to sell lands to enrich themselves.
Yes.
We have them.
Yes.
Maybe the word bad that you are using is where I don't want to agree with you. Otherwise, for me, I'm being very, reasonably enough
what is the word?
to find a chief who is doing things dubiously. By dubious means. Do you get my point? This same chief that is doing things dubiously can also do certain things that is good.
I get that.
Point. So to generalize, for instance, somebody told me, was saying that, Africans, our mind is black.
Of course, that is beyond the pale. No, that's beyond the pale. But then stay with me on this.
Yes.
Two chiefs. Let's say you're a chief, she's a chief, right? 90% of the things you do are categorized as bad behavior. 90% of the things she does are categorized as good behavior, communal behavior. Don't we have the right to categorize it? Okay, since this one does 90% of bad things, he's a bad chief. This is a good chief. Don't we have the right to say that?
You see, the word good and bad is what I'm trying to. Let us find a way to.
So let's do this. What is the word that you would use? Because obviously, this good and bad thing, it's a little too black and white for you.
Right.
So let's find the meaning that really says or communicates what you're trying to say.
Yes. Let me try to attempt to see whether I can convince you. What I'm saying is that all my ancestors, the chiefs that have come ahead of me, all of them were illiterates. I am the only chief that has come at this time,
This particular student.
that is educated.
Okay.
When I came, what they did to me, I don't see them to be bad chiefs. They did them out of illiteracy and out of ignorance. When I came, I immediately sealed up and ensured to have the base plan of my area. That's the first thing I did. I sealed up to know how many plots of land that has been given out, and then invited all those that I feel I have to talk to.
I have to interject here.
Yeah.
So now, when you came as the first literate chief who should know better, and you came in and you decided that I'm going to do the same thing to enrich myself at the, the disadvantages to the community over which I preside, making money, pocketing it, having women all over the place, and neglecting your community. Wouldn't that make you a bad
In
chief?
my 22 years of ruling, I've never sold any land. Go
I know
there and
that.
check.
I know that, but I'm saying if you
Anything
did.
that I have comes out of my medical practice.
Right.
You see,
Right.
because I'm educated. Now, what I'm saying is that those my predecessors that I came to
They
take
did
over
that out
from,
of ignorance.
they did not even. I don't have that bad history that they sold lands haphazardly.
Yeah.
That if any other chief somewhere else is doing that, then that is a bad practice.
Yes.
Not a bad person.
Yes, not the person.
Bad practice,
Bad
not
practice,
a bad person.
but not the bad person.
Bad practice, not
Do
a bad
you get my
person.
point?
I get it. I mean, Nana,
That bad practice is different from the person.
I understand you. Believe me. In class, if we have two students, one consistently gets 20%, and the other one consistently gets 80%.
To conclude,
I
are you
think-
wrapping up?
I think I'll give you guys the last word. I think we will. It's fair to say one is a good student, one is a bad student. But having said that,
Yeah.
final word, both of you. What do you have with this Africa and America fusion? Africans in America, African Americans, or Americans in general in Ghana. Who's doing a better job of adapting to the society in which they live?
Wow, that's quite a question. Diaspora that come here, I think they do an excellent job in getting a new name, eating the food. We're not all running to KFC.
Okay.
Learning about the good things that we have here, herbal medicine, the things that we can use for health. We really like that. We've done well, some of us, to learn the language. There are 54 of them. I didn't know which one to pick.
Okay.
Okay. If I had to learn one, I might learn Krobo.
Krobo. Okay.
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 But my kids speak Ga, they speak Tree. My son speaks a little Fanti. So I figured, I've given you people that speak the language.
Yeah.
Me, language acquisition when I first got here wasn't a priority for me. And right now I'm 60 years old. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay?
Actually,
I say
found
the
out-
few of things that I say,
Yeah.
but apart from that, but I go to a tree-speaking church.
That's good. That's good.
And my pastor is so amazing. It's like the Holy Spirit really does reveal what he's trying to say. And he does speak English and does an amazing job with formulating. So that fusion is happening because he realizes that that communication must happen for us to develop, for us to progress.
And Nana, your final word. And by the way, I was very impressed to find that I thought you moved here with a husband. To come here,
Oh, gosh.
that's something else. So, Nana, your final word. What, as an educated chief in the midst of quite a number of your peers who are not educated. What would you like to see in the chieftaincy space?
Yes, you see, unfortunately, my predecessors across the country, out of illiteracy, did not handle things well. And therefore, having come to realize the mistake that has been committed, most of the good powers that were bestowed on chiefs have been gradually, in a way, taken away.
Okay.
Do you get my point? Because most of our chiefs acted autocratically against the wish and will of the people.
Okay.
Do you get my, against their rights? And so that is why she did mention that it's about time chiefs are given the recognition to, integrate themselves into the running of the country. Indeed, I've said this on many platforms, and I think it's working. Because at the end of the day, it is the chiefs who owe the people the land and everything. And how do you develop the place without a chief? Okay. So there should be a second thought.
Okay.
That if anything at all, any chief could be given a sort of education, adult education, as to the do's and the don'ts according to law. And I think it will work. It will work.
Spoken like
we have a
chief.
wonderful king, Otumfuo.
Right.
And when he speaks, we all see that this is indeed a king.
Well, and spoken like a true chief yourself, I'd like to thank you for both of you honoring my invitation to Diaspora Weekly. This is a true diaspora. You, born and raised in New York, live here, and you too, born and raised in Kumasi, lived a stint in as a Ukrainian.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you never heard the word before, today
I want to acquire knowledge.
We have a Ukrainian in the house and a Jamaican in the house. This is Diaspora Weekly. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Long live God, long live the baby man. One time. So come go to Jenny Mumpire. So come we are fire. I'm me man penya wodi kanu your friend on Dr. Nkrumah. Me mini say na woni my dear number your mama. Asemba coupe bi na me ya eya me nwanwa. Here ono na je fa hu die. Ye nara ya sasini eya body de ma ye. Moja na no hie gunya de to ha ma ye. Edru me ne wo to say ye be ye bi atwa so tie. Ye na de be